It's a world gone wild. Everyone transforms into the last animal they eat. Some dude eats a bowl of beef noodles and turns into an ancient black dragon with insane power. Another guy bites into a fried chicken leg and comes back as an immortal phoenix rising from the flames. Me? In my past life, I casually grabbed some braised chicken rice, and all I unlocked was singing, dancing, and rapping. Zero combat ability. In a world overrun by monsters where only the strong survive, I didn't last long. I died like a chump. But now I've been reborn, right before the apocalypse hits. And this time, I know everything that's coming. I'm playing it smart, planning every move. I swore I'd climb to the very top of this new savage world. First target, the owl. It's born with insane night vision, and senses sharp enough to blow past almost every other creature. Get that ability, and darkness is never a threat again. You become the undisputed king of the night. Second pick, the electric eel. This thing pumps out over 800 volts. In my last life, guys who got that power ran the apocalypse unchallenged. Nobody dared mess with them. Once I locked in those two, I hit the internet hard, hunting for every busted, overpowered creature I could find. Then this tiny ant caught my eye. Your average ant can lift 400 times its own body weight. But the bullet ant? It's the apex predator of the ant world, on the global top 10 most venomous creatures list. The owl gives me elite night vision and super sharp hearing. The electric eel gives me control over high voltage lightning. The bullet ant gives me superhuman strength, a crushing bite, and deadly venom. Combat power, senses, venom, all checked off. But I was still missing the most critical piece: defense. In the apocalypse, if your defense sucks, it doesn't matter how hard you hit. You'll eventually get hunted down. Or you end up as dinner for some mutant beast. I'm not dying twice. This life, I'm building myself into a complete, no weakness, all-around warrior. So, turtle or crocodile for defense? In my last life, I watched a guy eat crocodile meat before the change. After his transformation, he was fully armored in croc scales, strength, bite force, and physical defense all through the roof. Someone in the comments suggested the armadillo, shell harder than natural body armor, can straight up deflect regular bullets. Problem is, it's a protected endangered species. No legal way to get one. I crossed it off immediately. Then it hit me. The tardigrade. Hands down the most unkillable thing on the planet. Eat enough of them before the apocalypse, and you inherit that near-immortal body. These things can survive as long as the sun burns. Extreme heat, extreme cold, crushing pressure, nothing kills them. You could throw one into outer space, hit it with nuclear radiation, and as long as it's not at ground zero, it walks away without a scratch. Best of all, tardigrades are literally everywhere. Damp soil, moss, water films. They're the easiest broken ability to obtain. But here's the problem. How do you actually kill something that even space can't kill? I went deep on research and finally found its weakness. Tardigrades are transparent. When conditions get rough, they dehydrate and curl into a barrel shape. Scientists have blasted them with 150 degrees C heat and 200 degrees C cold. They still revive once the temperature normalizes. Nuclear bomb level radiation, 6 times the pressure of the Mariana Trench, still can't kill them. But they do have a weak spot. 15 minutes under a UV sterilization lamp finishes them off completely, dead within 24 hours. High temperature steam and open flame work too. With all the key intel locked in, I started moving fast. 3 days until the apocalypse. I had to secure my transformation ingredients before time ran out. First, I ordered a microscope and a UV sterilization lamp online. UV is the cleanest method, no risk of losing those microscopic little bodies. The town I lived in was surrounded by farmland and forest, moss growing everywhere, perfect habitat for tardigrades. I headed into the hills and collected as much moss and lichen as I could carry, then went home to start sorting. On the way back, a salamander, maybe 10 centimeters long, crawled out of the roadside grass. That's when it clicked. This thing has insane regeneration. Limbs cut off, grows them right back. I jumped online to confirm, and yep, unlimited regeneration, crazy vitality. I was hyped. The tardigrade's immortal body combined with the salamander's regeneration. Stack those two abilities and I'm basically unkillable in the apocalypse. I brought the salamander home to keep safe, then hopped on my bike to the city, grabbed a UV lamp and picked up some high-stretch clothing so my outfit wouldn't shred when my body bulked up after the transformation. At the same time, I DM'd every exotic animal breeder I could find on short-form video platforms, offering top dollar for an owl, an electric eel, and bullet ants. By the time I wrapped everything up, it was evening. I grabbed a quick dinner, then swung by the school to borrow a microscope, beakers, droppers, the full lab kit, so I could isolate and collect the tardigrades. Following online tutorials, I soaked the moss for 24 hours, squeezed out the water, and checked it under the microscope with a slide. Maybe reincarnation came with a luck buff. First try, I spotted a tardigrade, just 0.1 millimeters across. These things are completely invisible to the naked eye. Collecting hundreds of them was going to take serious time and effort. After a half-day grind, I'd only found 12. Probably because the moss hadn't soaked long enough and most of them were still trapped inside. But the method worked, and that was enough. I wasn't about to sink all my time into just tardigrade hunting. Right then, my phone buzzed. Joe Jiming, a breeder with hundreds of thousands of followers known for his ant content, had replied to my DM. Next morning, I checked on the salamander first. Still alive and active, no need to refrigerate it yet. Then I headed out to meet Joe Jiming at his private breeding facility. The place was lined wall to wall with tanks full of rare exotic insects. In the corner, right where I needed it, sat a colony of bullet ants. Joe clearly loved them. Even dead specimens were carefully preserved as display pieces. I told him straight up, 50 live bullet ants plus some dead ones. Transferred the money on the spot, no negotiation. Joe was kicking himself for not charging more, and honestly couldn't figure out why I'd want dead bugs too. While browsing the facility, two beetles that looked like literal chunks of iron caught my eye. Joe said they were diabolical ironclad beetles, the toughest shells in the insect world, able to withstand nearly 40,000 times their own body weight. Scale that up to human size, and it's basically the ultimate physical defense in nature. My mind went crazy. That's the iron beast from my last life. I know exactly what this thing becomes. I added the ironclad beetle to the must-buy list on the spot. Joe saw I wasn't leaving without them and jacked up the price. Said rare species like these don't come cheap, could run thousands or even tens of thousands. After some back and forth, I paid 20,000 yen for two ironclad beetles. That left me just over 10,000. I still needed to budget for the electric eel and the owl, so I asked Joe if he knew where to get an electric eel. Turned out he had a friend in the exotic aquatic scene who'd just picked one up but couldn't keep it alive. The eel was fading fast. The seller heard someone was willing to pay big and quoted 5,000. Joe flipped it to me for 10,000. Time was running out. I didn't bother haggling. Deal done. Joe laughed to himself, thought I was a fool with money to burn. He had no idea that once the apocalypse dropped, cash would be worthless. We rushed over to the seller's place, confirmed it was a genuine electric eel in the tank, and I wired the payment right there. The seller even offered to help me acclimate it to the water. I just told him straight, heard electric eel tastes great, planning to cook and eat it. Both of them froze on the spot, immediately regretting they hadn't charged more.